Hey Facebook, happy football Saturday. Just washing my hands here. I know the game is starting in like a couple of minutes, but I've been busy. Okay. It's a big day all over the country. Everybody's teams are out getting ready to play, and it's an exciting day for a lot of people, Matt included. So I usually try to do, not every football game, but most of the time I try to fix something for him to enjoy throughout the day, because he'll watch multiple games today. So that's what we're going to do today. I got my football. We're going to make a couple of recipes that I think he will like, and well, I hope he will like. We haven't tried two of them. I have made the last one that I'm going to do, but I think they're going to be really good. The first one that we're going to do is a Philly cheesesteak dip. And this looked really good, so Matt's been helping me with this earlier. But what you need to do to make this recipe is you need to buy a ribeye steak. And you need to cook your steak, salt and pepper it on both sides, and cook it in a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of butter. And it suggests to use a cast iron skillet, but if you don't have one, you can use whatever you have. We just cooked it on top of the stove in our cast iron skillet. So, and then you need to chop it up in bite-sized pieces. So I've got a little bit of steak left here I need to chop up. And Matt was helping me with this part. Now, it's going to cook a little bit more in the oven. So if you want to cook yours well done, by all means do that. This one is still a little bit pink. And I'm just trying to get it into little bite-sized pieces. And I did trim away most of the fat on here. If you have a lot of fat on yours, you'll want to trim that away. Alright, so what I need to do now is I'm going to set this aside just for a second or two. Now, once your steak is done, you'll need to take it out, let it rest a little bit so that the juices can redistribute back into the meat. And then you need to cut up, let me make sure I give you the right measurements on this. You need to chop up one onion and one cup of onion and 1 cup of green bell pepper, and saute that up. We put it back into the juices that were left from the steak, and we added a little bit more butter. And I'll post these recipes on Life with Annie, so if anybody wants to try it, you'll have the exact ingredients and the exact measurements. But what we did was we sauteed the bell pepper and the onions in those juices with a little bit more butter, and we have that all done so you don't have to watch all that. But what we're going to do is we're going to mix up the rest of the ingredients. And I've got 1 8-ounce package of softened cream cheese in here. And to that, we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of mayonnaise. Over into the sink, and let's see, we're going to add in our peppers and our onions. They're nicely sauteed. All that goodness off of there. Mix that in. And then we've got a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, Yeah, just a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'm gonna measure out real quick. And I think that's the only seasoning other than the salt and pepper that you used for your steak. Okay. Mix that in really well. Alright. And then you're going to add in a cup of provolone cheese. I couldn't find it in any form other than the little round slices that you get for like sandwiches. So I just cut some of those. It calls for 1/4 of a pound, I believe. Yeah, 1/4 of a pound of provolone cheese slices chopped up. So we're going to add that in. And a cup of mozzarella cheese. Shredded mozzarella. And then I'm going to mix that together. And make sure I'm doing all this right. Okay. And then we're going to add our steak back in. Now I have reserved over here another half a cup of mozzarella cheese and is it a half a cup of, oh, it's 2 green onions. 2 green onions that I've chopped up. And then the mozzarella. And I'm going to reserve this over here to the side because we're going to bake this for 20 minutes at 350. We're going to take it out and we're going to top it with the extra cheese and the green onions and then pop it back in for another 5 minutes. So I'm going to grab my steak and add that to our cheesy mixture here. Alright, so I'm going to set this aside here and I'm going to bring back that cast iron skillet. I'm going to bring it over here and hopefully this is going to fit in there. And if it's a little bit too large, you can either put it in something smaller or just kind of watch it when you're baking it if it's a little bit thinner, but I'm going to try to do it in this. Okay, big heavy bowl. If you're putting it in a different bowl, I think it said to grease your bowl a little bit. But this has all the leftover from the sauteing of the onions and peppers, so I think we're going to be good there. Alright, set that down in the sink. Gather up some of these cups and put in here. Alright. So I'm just going to spread this around. Oh yeah, that's plenty. And I've got the oven preheated at 350. Okay. And I'm going to pop this in the oven. Okay, and it says for 20 minutes. I can't see any comments. I know that some people have been having problems with Facebook, so if anybody's out there and I'm not responding to you, it's not that I'm ignoring you. I don't see anything. So I don't know if there's something going on with Facebook right now. I was watching a girl last night and she couldn't see any of her comments, so I don't know what's going on there. So I hope you can see this. If not, if it does record and you're not seeing it, I'll try to upload it later. But anyway, we're going to keep going because Matt is hungry and he is waiting for his food. Alright, so these I'm going to keep here to add to that whenever it is finished. And we're going to move on to our next recipe. Now this one is, let me rinse my hands a minute. This one is for a meatball recipe. And I've got a pound of ground beef in the bowl here. Let me tell you exactly what it's called. This is called Best Ever Easy Baked Meatballs. So, I've never made the meatballs for Matt for football season, so I thought, well, we'll do something different. Okay, so you need a pound of ground beef. You need a half a cup of onion. I've got that all measured out here. Let me bring this tray a little bit closer. Okay. So we've got our half a cup of onion we're going to put in here. I'm just going to dump everything in. And we've got a fourth of a cup of breadcrumbs. I just have the plain ones. You can use the Italian flavored ones, whatever you like, but I just got the plain ones. I'm going to add those in. And I've got, let's see, 3 tablespoons of ketchup. Two cloves of garlic. And I've got a fourth of a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of parsley, all in here. Drop that in. And I need a fourth of a cup of Parmesan cheese. And this is the real Parmesan cheese. This isn't the little shaker kind. And I'm going to put 1 egg in. I'm just going to crack it in here and make sure it's good. And give it a little stir. Cook my yolk. Okay. And then I'm just going to work it together. And it said not to overwork it. Probably need a bigger spatula or spoon. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So not to overwork it, but you want to get all of your ingredients mixed together. Hey Linda, how are you? Now, the best way to do your meatballs is to, you know, just form it into little bite-sized meatballs, or I don't know if I can do this, but it'd be kind of neat to form it into little football-shaped meatballs. Mix that just a little bit more. Alright. And I'm going to grab my pan. I need a bigger kitchen. Okay, let me grab my pan here. Okay, and Matt had that in the oven and it's hot. Alright, so I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil on the pan, and I've got it sitting off to the side here because it was in the oven, so it is hot. See if I can make room for it here. It is warm. Okay, so here's our pan. I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil on it. And I'm not going to do all of these because it would be too much time. And, you know, I'm going to use my hands. If you have a problem, you know, touching your meat or watching someone use their hands. I mean, it's just the way I was taught to cook, and I will wash them. Okay, so I'm just going to take some of this just to show you to get started. If you can form it into the shape of a meatball, that would be great. I can try, but I don't know that that's going to look much like a football. But what I thought I could do is, when they were done, take some of those extra slices of mozzarella cheese. Hey, Eleanor. Well, good luck to your team, Eleanor. I hope everybody's team can win today. That's right, Linda. Some people are just kind of weird about that, so I just like to, you know, clarify. But anyway, I thought what I could do is take some of the slices of the mozzarella cheese and cut a little strip going down, and then the little strips going across that look like the little, whatever that is on the football. So you can do little football shapes, or you can do the little round meatballs. And it doesn't say to make a marinara sauce for this, but I bought some, and I thought that, you know, Matt could either dip them in that. We can doctor it up a little bit and put some, you know, seasonings, extra seasonings or something like that. But I thought he could take them and put like some of the leftover mozzarella or the provolone cheese on top, and a little bit of the marinara sauce, and then the cheese, and then put it back in the oven and just kind of eat it like that. But the recipe didn't say to do anything like that, so you can just use your imagination. So basically, that one's a bigger football, but oh well. But anyway, you cook these at 400. Spray your cookie sheet. I'm just using some olive oil. Bake them for 15 to 20 minutes or until the meatballs are browned and cooked through. So I'll do this one last one, and then I'll try to move on to our very last recipe. feel bad that I didn't get all this done before the game started for Matt, but I just couldn't get it together. When the game's so early like that, it was just, I should have done some of this stuff last night, and I had run around with my mother yesterday, and then I was trying to beat the storm back home, so. Oh, well, good, Eleanor. So anyway, I was trying to beat the storm back home, and we ended up having just a little bit of a, it was kind of an ominous looking day all day. It was really gray and cloudy and, you know, looked kind of ugly up in the sky. And you could see the clouds and the grayness all moving all the time, and the wind was picking up, and then the sun would come out, and then it would turn back to gray. So I had a lot of errands to run, so I wanted to get back home. So I was exhausted last night. Okay, I'm going to set this over to the side so we can finish up our last recipe. Let me take this meat out of the way. And we're still hanging on to our cheese and our onions. Anyway, that was called the best ever easy baked meatballs. So you bake them so they're a little bit more healthy for you. Okay, so let me get the ingredients for our last recipe. Be right back. Okay, here we go. Now this is one that Matt requested. The other night when I was asking him, what would you like for your football frenzy, feeding frenzy today? And he said he didn't want to, you know, be any trouble, but he really had one thing that he really wanted me to make. And I made this one time before years ago. I don't even know if he remembers that. But it's the Nestle's Toll House chocolate chip pie. And I've had this book forever, and it's like one of these hard page kind of books. It's got a lot of the Nestle recipes in it. But this is the one that we're going to make right here. The Nestle's Toll House chocolate chip pie. So, what we're going to do for that one is, excuse me, I'm just going to have a sip of tea real quick. And I haven't eaten today, so I'm going to enjoy some of this as soon as it's done. All right, let me get our bowl here. And we need to start with 2 large eggs, which I have measured out here, and just going to put them around. Get my little whisk here. Okay, and let's see, we're going to add in the flour. We have a half a cup of plain, all-purpose plain flour that we're going to add in. I'm using a miniature whisk today. Get that kind of mixed together, and then we're going to add in a half a cup of granulated sugar and a half a cup of brown sugar, yeah. Okay, it's time to move on to something bigger, I think. Just kind of mix all this together. And I did buy some ice cream for this. That's what Matt requested. He's so sweet. He was in here helping me this morning, and when I woke up this morning I had a little bit of a headache. He said, "You don't have to do all this, and you don't have to do this every time there's a game or something." I said, I know. But it just makes him so happy. And it makes me happy when he's happy. So, besides, I get to enjoy it along with him. So this will be something that we'll just munch on this kind of food all day long, and then I won't have to cook again. Alright, so that's nicely blended. Now the only thing that it didn't call for in this recipe is vanilla. But I think I'm going to sneak just a little bit of vanilla in here just because I like it. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab that. And I'm just going to put just maybe a half a teaspoon of it in here. Just enough to say it's got some in there. Maybe a drop more. That in, and then we're going to add the last, we've got our butter. We've got some butter here. 3/4 of a cup of butter. I'm glad I put all these ingredients out because I would probably forget something very, very important, like butter. I didn't even watch my Safari drive this morning because I was in here trying to get all this together. I will have a ton of dishes to do though, but that's okay. I have a dishwasher, but to be honest, I quit using it a while ago. I just kind of hand wash everything anymore. Mix. Now I do have a pie crust, a deep dish pie crust, sitting over here waiting for all this yumminess. Okay, and then the last two ingredients that we're going to add are a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips and a cup of nuts, and I've got pecans or pecans here. Add all that in. Oh, that looks so good. Doesn't that look good? Okay, so I think that we are good there. The oven needs to be preheated to 325, and you bake it for 55 to 60 minutes or until a knife inserted halfway comes out clean. And you cool it on a wire rack. I don't do that. I just cool it on a pot holder or on top of the stove. And then, like I said, he requested vanilla ice cream, which was pretty cheap at the store yesterday. It was less than $3. I remember years ago when Breyer's ice cream was the top ice cream, and you would pay like almost $6 for it. And now it's under $3, but I have to admit I don't think the quality is as good as it was back then when it was $6. But that's what he requested, so that's what he's getting. We also have the squirty whip topping if you want some of that on there. So I'm gonna grab my pie crust, move my vanilla. Set this here. Set that there. Here's our pie crust. Okay. I'm just going to pour this in.